blood, betrayal, and a message carved in violence that nobody saw coming. What you're about to witness isn't just another backstage altercation. This is the moment Bron Breakker transformed from rising star into an absolute monster, and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins just became the target of the most vicious assault we've seen on Monday Night Raw in months. Forget everything you thought you knew about loyalty in the WWE, because what went down this week rewrote the entire rulebook. And by the end of this breakdown, you're gonna understand why the entire wrestling world is buzzing about what happens next. Now, before we dive into the chaos, I need you to do something for me, and I'm not asking as just another YouTuber begging for metrics. I'm asking as someone who pours everything into bringing you these breakdowns, into capturing these moments that make us all fall in love with wrestling over and over again. If you've ever felt that rush when a heel turn hits just right, if you've ever jumped off your couch when the impossible happens, hit that subscribe button right now. Join the SLAMZONE family, because we're building something special here, a community that lives and breathes this business just like you do. Ring that notification bell, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. And drop a comment telling me what you think happens at the next pay-per-view, because your voice matters here. We're in this together. Now, let's get into it. The arena is still buzzing from the main event, fans are filing out, the ring crew is breaking down the ropes, and backstage, the real drama is just beginning. You can feel it, that electric tension that hangs in the air when something is about to snap. The cameras catch Seth Rollins walking through the corridor, still in his gear, sweat dripping down his face, that signature smirk plastered across his lips. He just cut one of those promos that remind you why he's called the Visionary, confident, calculated, and completely unaware that he's about to step into a nightmare. See, Seth's been riding high lately. He's been talking about legacy, about being the architect of his own destiny, about how nobody in that locker room has the guts or the skill to take him down. And maybe, just maybe, that confidence turned into arrogance. Because while Seth was busy soaking in his own glory, Bron Breakker was watching, waiting, building up something dark and explosive inside that second-generation powerhouse frame. You have to understand the history here, and this is where it gets personal. Weeks ago, these two were on the same page. Not friends exactly, but there was respect. There was an understanding. They were supposed to be united against a common enemy, a faction that had been terrorizing the roster. Seth extended his hand to Bron, brought him into the fold, promised him that together they'd tear down anyone who stood in their way. And Bron bought in. He trusted the visionary. He believed in the plan. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. Seth started taking credit for victories Bron earned. Started positioning himself as the leader, the brains, while treating Bron like the muscle, like a weapon to be wielded and put away when no longer needed. And if you followed Bron Breakker's career, if you know the bloodline he comes from, you know that disrespect doesn't sit well with a Steiner. Back to that corridor. Seth rounds a corner, still laughing with one of the production assistants about something from his promo. And then, silence. The kind of silence that makes your heart skip. The camera angle shifts, and there he is, Bron Breakker, standing motionless in the shadows, his chest heaving, fists clenched so tight you can see his knuckles turning white even through the screen. His eyes? Pure fire. This isn't the composed athlete we've seen navigate matches with precision. This is something primal. Seth notices him. That smirk falters for just a microsecond, and in that microsecond, you can see he knows. He knows what's coming. But there's no time to prepare, no time to talk his way out, no time for the visionary to architect an escape plan. Bron explodes. And I mean explodes. He closes the 20-foot gap between them in what feels like a heartbeat, and the first spear, oh man, that first spear drives Seth straight through a production crate. The sound of splintering wood echoes through the backstage area like a gunshot. Crew members scatter. Someone screaming for security. But Bron isn't hearing any of it. He drags Seth up by his hair, and you can see in Rollins' eyes that he's genuinely stunned. This isn't a work shoot that got too real, this is calculated brutality with a purpose. You used me. Bron's voice cuts through the chaos, raw and venomous. You thought I was just your dog? Another spear. This time into the concrete wall. Seth crumples, and for a moment you think maybe that's it, maybe officials will flood in and stop this before it goes too far. But no. Bron stands over him, breathing heavy, looking down at the broken body of the man who betrayed him, and he's not done sending his message. He lifts Seth up, and the strength on display here is terrifying, hoists him onto his shoulders in a power slam position, takes 3 steps, and drives him spine first onto a stack of metal equipment cases. The clang reverberates. Seth's not moving now. He's hurt. Legitimately hurt. And Bron leans down, gets right in his face, and delivers the line that's gonna be replayed a million times across social media at WrestleMania season. I'm taking everything from you. Your title. Your legacy. Your soul. Now here's where it gets deeper, and this is why I love professional wrestling, because it's not just about the violence. It's about the why. Bron Breakker comes from wrestling royalty. His uncle is Scott Steiner. His father is Rick Steiner. The Steiner brothers are legends who built their reputation on being the toughest, most legitimate athletes to ever step in a squared circle. Bron carries that weight, that expectation, that legacy on his shoulders every single night. And when Seth Rollins treated him like a pawn, like a stepping stone, like he was anything less than the future of this company, that wasn't just disrespect to Bron, that was disrespect to everything his family built. Seth Rollins, on the other hand, is a man who spent his entire career manipulating people. He betrayed the Shield. He stabbed partners in the back more times than we can count. But he's always been smart enough, slick enough, charismatic enough to rebuild his image. The fans forgave him. The company elevated him. He became a top guy. And maybe, just maybe, he thought he could play the same game with Bron that he's played with everyone else. He was wrong. Hold on real quick, because I see some of you watching and you haven't subscribed yet. Look, I get it. You stumble across a video, you watch, you move on. But here's the thing, SLAMZONE is more than just breakdowns and highlights. This is where we dissect the psychology, the storytelling, the moments that make wrestling the greatest form of entertainment on earth. So if you're feeling this, if you're locked in right now wondering what happens next in this rivalry, do me a solid, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and become part of this family. Comment below and let me know, is Bron Breakker the next big thing, or did he just make the biggest mistake of his career? I read every single comment, and I promise your voice matters here. Alright, back to the carnage. Security finally arrives, about 10 guys, and they're trying to pull Bron off, but he shrugs them off like they're children. He's not done. He grabs one of the production monitors and for a second you think he's gonna smash it over Seth's head, but instead he holds it up, stares directly into the lens, and delivers his message not just to Seth, not just to the locker room, but to every single person watching at home. This is my era. Not yours. Mine. Then he drops the monitor, lets it shatter at his feet, and walks away. Just walks away. No officials can touch him. No authority figure rushes out to suspend him. He leaves on his own terms, and Seth is left lying in the wreckage, medical staff rushing to check on him, trainers calling for a stretcher, and the entire backstage area in absolute shock. The brilliance of this angle, and you gotta appreciate the storytelling here, is that WWE has positioned Bron Breakker as both the victim and the monster. We understand his rage. We sympathize with his betrayal. But the level of violence he just unleashed? That crosses a line. That makes us question whether we should be cheering for this guy or fearing what he's capable of. And that moral ambiguity? That is what creates legendary heels. That's what made Stone Cold. That's what made CM Punk's pipe bomb era so captivating. We're drawn to characters who exist in the gray. So where does this go from here? Well, if the WWE books this correctly and all signs point to them being fully invested, we're looking at a WrestleMania collision that could steal the entire show. Bron Breakker versus Seth Rollins, with months of build, with genuine animosity, with a story that writes itself. Seth will undoubtedly come back with mind games, trying to get in Bron's head, trying to prove he's still the smartest guy in the room. But he just learned the hard way that intelligence doesn't matter when you're dealing with unbridled rage and raw power. And here's the thing that has me most excited, this isn't just about one match. This is about establishing Bron Breakker as the guy for the next decade. He's 27 years old. He has the look, the pedigree, the athleticism, and now after tonight he has the edge that separates good wrestlers from all-time greats. Seth Rollins might have built his legacy on being the architect, but Bron Breakker just bulldozed right through those plans and built his own foundation on Seth's broken body. The crowd reactions when this airs live are gonna be insane. Twitter's already exploding. Wrestling forums are debating whether this was too far or not far enough. Mainstream sports outlets are picking up the story. This is the kind of moment that transcends just being a wrestling angle, it becomes a cultural talking point. What I love most about this entire situation is how it makes everything feel real again. In an era where we're all smart marks who know the business, who read the dirt sheets, who understand its predetermined, moments like this make us forget. For those 3 minutes of pure chaos, we weren't thinking about scripts or storylines. We were watching one human being unleash justified fury on another, and we couldn't look away. That's the magic. That's why we're all here. Seth Rollins has been counted out before and come back stronger. He's one of the most resilient performers in WWE history, but this time feels different. This time, he's not dealing with someone playing checkers while he plays chess. He's dealing with someone who just flipped the entire board over and said, "We're fighting now." No rules. No strategy. Just pain. And Bron? Bron sent his message loud and clear. He's not the young guy learning from veterans anymore. He's not the prospect with potential. He's the present and the future, and anyone who stands in his way, whether it's Seth Rollins, whether it's champions, whether it's legends, they're all targets now. Before I let you go, I want to say something from the heart. Channels like SLAMZONE exist because people like you care about this. You care about the stories, the athleticism, the drama, the moments that make us mark out like kids again. Every view, every like, every subscription means I get to keep doing this, breaking down the moments we'll remember for years, celebrating this incredible art form with people who understand why it matters. So one more time, subscribe to SLAMZONE. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a breakdown. Share this video with your wrestling friends who need to see what went down. And drop a comment telling me where you think this feud goes next, because I genuinely want to hear from you. This is just the beginning of something massive. Bron Breakker versus Seth Rollins is gonna define the next era of WWE, and we're gonna be here for every single moment, analyzing, debating, and losing our minds together. What a night. What a moment. What a message. This is SLAMZONE, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.